Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another Last Epoch dev stream. As you might be accustomed to at this point, I'm your host, Mike. Hello. How are you doing today? I'm feeling quite good, thank you. How are you doing today? Now with that out of the way, let's hop right in. We are, as you may notice, playing a new build today. Hoo-wee. We're taking another build off of this list of fun builds that Perry made a video of a while ago, and we're playing Holy Trail Javelin. Ooh, yeah. I didn't quite finish my idols, but they were not overly necessary. I think it was just more survivability, so we'll get some of that as we go. Hello, Aaron. How's it going? Welcome to the party. A couple general things here. As always, the streams are for charity. We have a new charity this month as we're at the start of the month. Good Sports is our charity this month. We will be supporting them. It's all about providing a way for kids to play sports. Maybe they don't have access to it in their community, or they can't afford equipment, or need special equipment, or all sorts of other stuff they do. They help with kids getting into play sports. All different ways, which is cool. So that's our charity this month. Other housekeeping stuff do I have? Oh yeah, next week, I'll say this at the end of the stream as well. Next week I will be streaming probably an hour, maybe 2 hours even earlier than usual. Should probably actually do stuff here. I'll be streaming earlier than usual.
Stand down or die.
Health already, cool. Sorry, what am I talking about? Yes, I'll be streaming slightly earlier than usual. I've got some family stuff happening. Vague things that will require me to not be here. Which one is it? Holy Trail. Okay. It's a pretty basic filter. There's a bunch of items with certain affixes we want, and hiding everything else, basically. Maybe we shouldn't hide everything else. Right in here. Let's not do this. It's gonna take me a while to get used to this, because it is a fairly different build than I've been playing recently. I might switch these. Okay, this is good. We can go over how this build's working here. This is I just finished putting it together before stream, and what it's doing. It's doing some cool stuff. I think I've actually got a couple points here, don't I? Yes, I do. Let's fill these out. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. Put @Last Epoch Game in the questions so I see it pop out at me, and I'll be happy to answer it as quickly as possible. Also, if you didn't already know, we just released a new dev blog, so we'll put that. I'll put a link for that in chat right now, just so people can see. There's a ton of new information. If people have questions about that, I'll be happy to answer them as well. And so we've got a question. Let's start this off here. Hey, sorry if you got asked this already. Probably, but that's okay. But with the recent PoE drama, what's your take on the topic of what developer wants versus what the player gets? Ain't that a deep topic? I mean, so I think that, especially in a situation where there's a heavily established player base, and a very large player base already, it does change things a little bit. So like, I feel like, and also with us being in early access, the game's not out yet, there's probably a lot less pressure on us to maintain the status quo and to sort of respect the things that have been there for a long time. I think it's much more expected of us as a new game that's not actually even properly out yet to have much more drastic changes. I think it's a really tricky topic, and I haven't actually been asked this yet, which is cool. I haven't really put too much thought into it, and I'm just kind of stalling for time here so I can think about it a little bit more. I don't really have a good answer. I mean, ultimately, if you're buying something, and then that thing you buy changes after the fact, that kind of sucks.
Stand down or die.
You can be signing up for, like, if you know you're buying a thing that you know changes. I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question. I think it's a very deep topic. And yeah, I don't know. So I'm reminded a lot of other games as well. So it's not just PoE that has things like this, but there's games like, for example, Magic the Gathering. So I know I bring this up a lot because I think it relates heavily to it's a gaming system and these things. But Magic changes a lot, and sometimes they'll go back and they'll completely flip stuff on their head. Well after you've bought and paid for it, and you spend way more money on Magic than you do on Path of Exile. My goodness. And sometimes that also doesn't get received very well. So it's interesting. And even in situations like that, where they'll flat out ban things. You can spend hundreds of dollars on things, and then they'll just be like, "All right, this card is no longer legal to play." Like, that's brutal, right? And it has to be done for the health of the game as a whole. So I think that sometimes does happen.
Stand down. I cannot do that.
That's a tricky one. Sorry if I don't have a fully formed answer for you.
I cannot do that. I cannot do that.
Like,
I cannot do that.
I don't know. Sorry. I'm gonna be thinking about that one for weeks though, in the back of my head. What are you all? I'm gonna move on to another question though, sorry. What are you all looking for testers for multiplayer? As an example, I have a few hours in the game with minimal experience. Would I be in consideration of the tester program? Yeah, I think there's a big misconception with the tester programs where people think like, oh, I'm not a hardcore gamer, so I'm not eligible for it or something like that, or like I don't have decades of testing experience on other games, so I'm not eligible for it or anything like that. I
cannot do that.
I want to say if you're interested in it, apply. Like, don't worry about all that sort of stuff. It's really useful for us to get a cross section of players, people that have varying levels of experience, that are going to be doing different actions in game, that are going to be finding different things. If we only had like the top 0.1% of players like that are pushing in the arena and Monolith and speedrunning, and like we only had those like super high like play hours and experienced players, those are the only people that were in there, we'd get a very one-dimensional set of feedback from the multiplayer test. And so it's really important that we actually get a broad cross-section of our entire player base. The one thing that I would ask is that if you want to get into the testing and you want to play with the multiplayer testing and the CT testing, like if you're gonna take the time to apply and the time we're gonna take to review it and everything like that, like, please actually play it. I guess it's the only thing. Like, only apply if you're gonna be able to like play for more than an hour. I know it seems like a ridiculously low bar, but like there's some accounts that we've seen that like they have less than an hour of CT time, and part of that is it's not running the entire time. People may not have been people could have been out of town, and we haven't run it for like 24/7 for a long time at all yet. So like that's starting, so it's not like terrible or anything yet. But yeah, if you're gonna do it, just like play a little bit. Yeah, that's it. So yes, you'd be considered still. But one thing we're really looking for is more regions. So if you're in a less densely populated region, you'll probably be picked up faster. how long do you think for the game to get out of the early access? So this is like a when are we going to launch the game question, and unfortunately I don't have any specific answers for you right now. It's when it's ready is kind of the blanket answer, and yeah, we're pushing as hard as we can. We've got most of the core features planned for 1.0 are sort of in and ready, and we're now working on converting to multiplayer, and there's new things that we're adding still as well, but like the
I cannot.
yeah, like it's more expanding on things that are left and polishing and you know, all those fun things that are super important and time consuming. I feel like I'm in a little bit low difficulty of an area, and I think I might want to go to empowered here.
I cannot do that.
But I don't think I have empowered unlocked, which is a problem.
I cannot do
so
that.
we might go do a oh, whatchamacallit. I might just see if I can just like rush through this. I've been focusing on the questions, and I haven't really been paying attention to what I'm playing, just getting used to this build. Things are dying fast.
Stand down.
Alright, come on. Do you want to get to empowered actually? Because I think this can handle it. This is a cool build though. It's really interesting because it's you don't have like an auto attack in the build at all. You don't really need it.
I cannot do that.
Very mobile.
Stand down or die.
Very mobile. So I do love the Volta reversal. All right, I can also go over my gear for a bit. I made sure I got some uniques with legendary potential, so we can go to that and have some fun. Because I love rolling those on stream. Actually, just go like right away. What? The last thing I did to set this up did not take at all. All right. Next question. Here we go. I also was listening to some clips from the stream a little while ago and realized that like it's basically just my voice and there's no sound from the game audible at all. So I turned the in-game music volume up a bunch. I hope it's like a little bit. So you can hear it a bit. It just feels so like me and nothing. Which is fun, I guess. Well, let me in. Right. I need that. Alright, next question. I haven't read or heard anything since the May 10th dev blog where Kane promised the patch in September. I'm sure you haven't noticed it is now September. When patch? Well, I think there's been 2 dev blogs since then. And in the one after that one, we announced that maybe it wasn't right after that one. Maybe there's been 3 actually. Anyways, we have since then announced that we're no longer doing patch 0.8.6 anymore. So that was going to be the next patch, as we're on 8.5 right now. We're skipping 8.6 like we were planning to do before, and we are instead going to be running straight into 0.9, which is multiplayer. Oh, come on. There we go. And of course, get the easy one first. That's okay. And now that we're doing that instead, it's going to be a little bit longer. Now that dev blog as well that you're referencing said did not promise the patch in September. That is, I think, a fairly big misconception about what that dev blog said. Dev blog said, I have to go back to find the exact wording, but basically the dev blog was saying that we were aiming for roughly September, not the patch will be in September. Those are 2 very different statements. So we were at September-ish was probably going to happen. And then we announced that we were changing it to later than that. so later than September-ish, which does not mean October. It just means later than September-ish, for 0.9
I
instead.
cannot do that.
So hopefully that clears that up a bit. We don't have a specific timeline for when the next patch will be. But I see right after that someone says end of September probably. Please don't say that because it's unfortunately misleading and not true, and we get lots of questions like because of things like that. What trading system are you going to use multiplayer consent? Unfortunately, we don't have information on the details of the trading system that will be added to multiplayer when it comes along. We know that it's a very important topic for a lot of people, and it is something we're taking very seriously, and we've been playing multiplayer internally without any sort of item transferring system whatsoever. And it sucks when you pick up an item that you know the person you're playing with can't use, and that just stings. So we've definitely been feeling that for the past little while. We did have our first successful item transfer through networking from one character back to that same character, but still it transferred through the network. So that has happened at least once now. Alright, next one. Attention, don't die, which is partially hard in here because I'm pretty over leveled. 3-part question. Why did you decide to make Majasa so hard to beat? Well, I mean, she's kind of the storyline finished boss right now. Like that's the capstone content for the campaign at the moment. So you know it's supposed to be a bit of a challenge. Like I beat the game, sort of being able to say that as like an actual like difficult thing to do is I think important. Where am I going? And we also are, while we're doing all of this, half the things we put in are an experiment. So we experiment with different levels of difficulty as we go, and the difficulty was definitely ramped up, and we knew it was going to be quite hard. We've had patches since then where we could have nerfed it, and we have, but not as much as some people would have liked probably. It's also not, I guess, mandatory content to like get into the endgame systems, so we weren't too worried about it being like oppressive in that sense. Why is there no waypoint there so I can fix my build when I die without running all the way back to her? It's yeah, okay, that might be a little frustrating. Maybe a little mistake there. Probably a good suggestion there to have something closer. And what did you do to deserve this? You were awesome. But every once in a while, you gotta get taken down a peg. Cause see what you do. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Well, reference to a previous thing I said. Well, that's good to hear. That's wonderful. You're welcome. I work as a web designer and I do freelance, so I'm pretty packed in time. But I'm playing it whenever I can, or at least try to. Yeah, I mean, like, there's no like. I guess I should reference. This is in reference to asking like what's necessary to join the CT program and things like that. There's no minimum number of hours played. The only reason I mentioned like actually play some is just because I know there's a lot of people that do really want to get in and play, and maybe they don't get in. And if you get in and you don't play at all, it's kind of like if you're gonna take the time to get in and everything, like just take some time to play. At least some. It doesn't have to be a ton. This isn't a minimum number of hours you have to play or anything like that. And this is just going to get crushed. Just stand in the. Come on, stand in the fire. You stand in the fire. There we go.
Escape is impossible.
Nailed it. Nailed it. Alright, let's make a ring. Sure, that one. Why not? Because I don't think the other ones are low enough level. It might be. We probably don't have the what level can I do? Up to 55 right now? We do Titan's Heart. Okay, do we have a chest, an exalted chest piece that's worth putting in that at all? I guess I could just like probably have one here somewhere. Yeah, that's a good be. Might just make that one. I don't think it'll take that. Come on. Something useful. Anything useful. No, not that. Where is a chest that I can do this with? Might just come back. Good job preparing for this, Mike. Way to go. A little bit of sarcasm there. There's another question while I'm doing this. What do NDAs stand for? Non-disclosure agreement. It's basically a way for us to say, here's the things that we don't want you to talk about with regards to the beta. So it is a private program where you have to be invited to it. And we're basically saying, like, please don't go tell everyone everything you see because we're still working on it. We don't want this to be public yet. I don't think this works. Does this work? No, I didn't think so. Whatever. It's just. What do we got? Oh, endurance threshold. Sweet. Do one more little. I guess we need an exalted first, don't we? We need an exalted. We need an exalted chest, weapon, or gloves that are actually good to go in this. Let's run some more of this before I do this. I think we're in this one. Alright. And the NDA is basically just so, like, and if someone does start posting screenshots and details of things that are covered in the NDA, it's just a way that we can go, like, okay, we're kicking you out of the program now because you leaked a bunch of information. You know, it's basically what it is. Just need to heal up there. Will there be any changes to Druid Form's next patch possible? Yes. However, I love getting questions that I can answer accurately because of semantics.
I cannot do that.
Any changes? You can replace Druid Form with basically any skill in the game, and I can answer that true because any changes is pretty vague. Any significant changes? Probably not. It's had a lot of work on it recently, and there's bigger fish to fry. However, we haven't really spun up our skill design. Like it's going, but it's not. We're not in full game or skill design mode right now. So there's definitely less happening at the in that category. As we get closer to patch, that ramps up for sure. Always
I
does.
cannot do that.
You like hearing the music at a good volume level now? Thank you. Thank you. First time chat here. Just tuned in when multiplayer when it's ready. I was wondering, games like Path of Exile adds new gems and Lost Ark adds new classes. What is the plan for Last Epoch in the long run to keep things fresh in terms of character customization? I mean, so there's lots of different things we'll be adding. And they're pretty varied. So there's straightforward things that affect basically every class, every character possibly, or I should say any character or class really. And that's just like unique items. So new unique items. Lots of games do this. It's a pretty basic thing, but it does add a surprising amount of build options off of just like some one little thing of just like, here's a new unique item. Can have big impacts. So yeah, lots of new unique items. Just gear rebalances and changes in general, I think, is something that'll be popular on basically every patch. We'll also be adding new skills as we go. Sometimes it'll be replacing old ones, sometimes it'll be adding new ones. There is room in this panel to add more. We've intentionally built this in such a way that we've got planned out spaces to add more skills into it. There's room to unlock more skills here. There's room to unlock more skills here. There's room to unlock more skills just by level. There's room to unlock new skills all over the place. We can even just changing skill trees can have a big impact on builds because it can impact multiple different builds that use the skill tree for different things. Get some info in this tree. What else is there? So like adding new dungeons, adding new monoliths, adding new systems or things to do, supplementary systems for those systems, adding new endgame systems. I don't know what the question is really. Oh, character customization was specifically part of it. Adding whole new masteries, adding an extra mastery, adding a whole new class. We've got all those sorts of things that are long-term planned. What else?
I cannot do that.
This bridge in this little temporal section, nice. This bridge is really funny. So this bridge was the first. Well, it used to be a log, not stone like this, and it was the first bridge added to the game. And took a long time to get functional and actually work nicely. I think it was that bridge. I might be thinking of the wrong zone. Zones have changed so many times, but
I cannot do that.
who's at that angle? Yeah, don't forget to put at Last Epoch Game in the question so I see it. There's a question here that was tagged. Anyways, thank you, Kane. Hey there, I saw a video of a devouring orb Void Knight clearing 500 corruption, taking all of his gear off and relying only on skills. Yes, I've seen that video too. Making gearing not feeling very impactful after skills reach level 20. Is there going to be more balance here to make the item chase more impactful? So I will say, like, a couple caveats here. That is a extreme case. And most things aren't that extreme. That there are several examples like that, yes. But I would say the majority of things are not that extreme. And then the answer to the question is yes, this is something we've been talking about for a while. We do want to shift the scaling further away from just strictly what you get out of skill points by default, and more towards something that will scale as you go through the game and are still getting gear. Because that's the super late game scaling that happens comes, or chase, I should say, the tail end of the character progression comes from your gear.
I cannot do that.
And having the percentage of damage that comes from your gear be so low does put a damper on that chase. So we are going to be looking at ways that we can shift the balance of power more towards gear, and that's not to say completely off of skills, but just more towards gear. We've got a few different ways that we're looking at doing that, but it's nothing set in stone yet. Afternoon, Mike. Afternoon, Umi. Umi. I'm with Umi. I like that. Loved the new stuff teased on today's dev blog. Awesome, glad to hear it, especially the new SFX. What's your favorite SFX that's been implemented in the next update? Oh, this is the problem. I have no idea anymore. It's been so long that things have just blended so much. And I think we're getting to a point where the SFX is actually not standing out to me, which is a really good thing. It's one of those things that you don't want to notice it. We're just yeah. Sorry, what was I saying? You want to get to the point where you don't see it, because it's one of those things where when it blends and it just feels natural is when it's really good. When you're like, oh, I didn't notice it. Great. That's how it should be. Alright. So I don't know the specific favorite one, sorry. Thank you very much, Lizard! Welcome everybody from Lizard's raiding party. Oh, I'm missing everything? Oh, I missed everything. I'm gonna start starting at the top here. Just Jord, thank you very much. Resub for 5 months in a row. Awesome. Almost at half a year. Very cool. And Llama8B has resubbed for 12 months in a row. You miss anything? Yes. Maybe. No, I don't think so. Hello. Thank you for being here. Glad to have you with us. And then we've also got Lizard who's come with the raiding party. Welcome everyone from Lizard's stream. I know you guys were going over the dev blog, so if you have any questions about that, please feel free to ask. I will say that I've not finished reading it myself yet, so I'm not 100% sure everything that's in there. So here's your chance to catch me off guard.
I did not do that.
And also Master Sword, thank you very much for your 16-month resub. Pew, pew, pew. Love it. Thank you very much. Glad to have you with us as always. All right, I got more questions here. Let's keep answering them.
I did not do that.
Are we going to expand the storyline, or will it be as long as it is now? Yeah, the storyline is definitely getting expansions. There are 3 more chapters planned for the storyline. Just to kind of, there's some elements, there's some holes, some plot holes right now that need filling, you know. And so there's getting the space for all that. There's also happens to be a certain bit of the storyline that's kind of underexplored. Hint, hint.
I cannot do that.
You're gonna make more things for Endgame? Absolutely. There's all sorts of little things we have planned for Endgame. There's also big things we have planned for Endgame too. I think the most important thing at this point is more stuff to do in Monolith. So it's there's more consideration and variance on what's going to happen, and there's more engagement for, okay, I'm going to treat this Echo differently because it's a XYZ. Yeah. When will the last 3 classes get out? The last 3 mastery classes will be released sometime at the latest by 1.0. So sometime between now and 1.0 launch inclusive, they will be released. I don't have any more information than that. Important question, what do you like to put in a burrito? Oh, good question. I love a good burrito. Oh my goodness. So it's gotta have rice in a burrito. I really like rice in burritos. I know a lot of people don't, but my burrito's gonna have rice in it. I'm gonna prefer like some chicken. It's gonna have black beans. You know, some cheese. Lots of like jalapenos. Something pickled. Probably like a pickled cabbage, or just anything with like that acid in there. It's gonna have lots of hot sauce, lots of spice, avocado, tomato, cheese.
I cannot do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it sounds like a pretty good burrito. Lots of salsa. Love salsa.
I cannot do
Nice
that.
with some like salsa verde. Good like homemade salsa with like chunks of like fresh onion and peppers and tomatoes and everything in there. Yeah. How much will cosmetics cost when they get out? We don't have set prices that I can share on like this cosmetic will be this much type thing yet. We're still working on details. Try and keep them reasonable and appropriate for what they are. They'll scale based on what they are. So like,
I cannot do that.
I don't know. Something that
cannot
makes
do
your
that.
fireball a slightly lighter shade of red would be less. That's not an actual MTX that we're planning.
I cannot do that.
Would cost less than say a full character visual overhaul that came with a pet and several ability VFX changes. Depending on what it is, it'll change how much it costs. But I like with everything, we'll try and keep it as like reasonable and fair as possible, and we'll listen to feedback and all that good stuff. I think we have a pretty good track record on fronts like that. At least I hope so. Don't you think the changes to ailment, where effect becomes now penetration, gonna make poison even stronger than other ailments? No, I don't. Will Paladin get more skills? And is it better to play Paladin with other players because of the auras? The aura is quite strong, yes. There's lots of things that different classes bring to the party. Pun not intended, but gleefully accepted. That paladins can't do.
I cannot do that.
They'll have that has similar impact. Like just rogues can haste party members really easily, which is really nice to have.
I cannot do that.
Just like party haste all the time is great. Just
I cannot
hasting
do
up
that.
minions. Oh, it's so nice. Anyways,
I cannot do that.
yes, Paladin will get more skills. Paladin's missing one skill, and the skill doesn't have a tree yet. So they're missing a skill and a
I
tree.
cannot do that.
Yeah.
I cannot do that.
Did I? Yeah. Okay. There we go.
I cannot do that.
I think you've talked about this
I cannot
before,
do that.
maybe, but that's okay. Love talking about it again. But right now it seems like there isn't much reason to fully explore echoes. Yeah, this is kind of what I was
cannot
touching
do
on
that.
just a little bit ago. Does the team have any ideas that you can talk about
cannot
to make
do
exploring
that.
echoes feel more rewarding? Yes. I'm just gonna finish the
cannot
question here
do
in one
that.
second. Bonus stability is nice, but still find myself
cannot
just
do
killing
that.
stuff on the way objective rather than exploring. Yeah, so I think
cannot
what
do
happened
that.
was so the short answer is yes. I think bonus stability did a really good job in getting people to
cannot do
kill
that.
the enemies that were on the way to their objective. So
cannot
before
do
that, I was seeing a lot of people being like, I don't kill anything on the way to the objective. I just rush the objective and that's it.
I cannot do that.
And I think bonus stability is now at least getting people to kill the
cannot
things
do
on the
that.
way there, which is good news. It's not exactly everything we want with it, but it is very good
I cannot
news.
do that.
And I think you're right. I think we do need something else to
I cannot do that.
encourage exploration of echoes. And I think part of the big thing that could make that system feel really good is that it's not every echo, because echoes are relatively pretty short, and having something that says like that indicates, hey, this is a good one, you should explore this one. I think you should explore this one. And maybe it's not like a guaranteed explore this one and you get something, but like I heard a rumor that there's something good here if you explore it. I could be, it's just a rumor, I could be wrong, but like I think you should explore this one. And putting something in those in everyone, so have there be like a chance to find echo exploration mechanic 4. I don't know, I just don't want to give it a name. And then have certain echoes that have like 20 times the chance to have this thing. So like, yeah, if you just are randomly playing, every once in a while you'll find one, and then like
I cannot.
every once in a while you'll also then find like the echoes where it's like you should explore this one, and most of the time in the ones where it tells you to explore, you'll find one of these things, whatever it is. And it
cannot
could
do
be
that.
something, I think, as simple as a room with a hard enemy in it that drops a bunch of gear. Like that would be probably the most basic version of it. Or even just a treasure chest would be like the
Cannot
most
do
basic
that.
version of it. I don't think that's good enough.
Cannot do that.
But like, you know, just something where, hey, if you explore, you're gonna get rewarded. Maybe it's like there's a treasure goblin in this echo somewhere, or like there's an increased chance to find treasure goblins in this echo, or you know, things like that. And it can be really simple stuff like that. It can then also, if we wanted to and have the time to develop something like this, be a little bit more complex, like some sort of meta progression system that's separate from the monolith entirely. It can be some sort of like you know, PoE you'll find just like a map, like a map device with a map loaded in already, like in the map. And maybe it's like you can find like a mini echo inside the echo or something like that, and or maybe there's just like an off-theme dungeon that's sort of like grafted onto the echo that you can go into. I think there's lots of room for really cool stuff there, and I don't think that like I know we don't have anything developed enough that we can be like, this is what we're gonna do, but there's lots of room to explore space in there, and I'd like to see something like that. Even if it's just like a basic version of it, even an infancy version of it, to arrive relatively quick.
I cannot do that.
Like, definitely won't be 0.9. But you know, just sooner than later, I think would be beneficial.
Stand
Hello,
down
Rune of
or
Ascendance.
die.
Hello. Is the Warlock Mastery coming in the next update? Not that I know
I cannot do
of.
that.
No, it's not. Unless something drastically changes between now and the next update, no.
I cannot do that.
We have not started working on the
Cannot
Warlock
do
yet.
that. I cannot do that.
Is it intended that Holy Trail doesn't work with Divine Fury? The splits don't spread the trail, which is very sad. Yeah, it gets a little nutty,
I cannot do that.
and I'm pretty sure that it was an intentional no doesn't work moment. Might not be necessary to not work, but as far as I remember, it was intentional.
I cannot do. Stand down or die.
Why would a bridge be that hard to make?
I cannot do that.
Because we were noobs. This is 5 years ago I'm talking about. That's right, walk into the trail, buddy. It won't hurt you. It's nice. Healing light. Soothing holy light. Any plans to remove the duplicate runs in place of places like Fall of the Outcast, unlock 62 or 66 is meant to be a power choice? I think a lot of people. There's no plans to change it currently. It's there for a few reasons. One is the signal to especially the fact that it's the very first one. It's the signal to people that you are expected to complete these more than once. Not necessarily in unempowered mode, but for new players that maybe are struggling through it, it's partially a signpost to say, hey, it's okay to come back and do this again because you can unlock 2 different things.
I cannot do that.
On top of that, it's also easy enough to just do that in empowered for the other unlock. I know we had talked, or no, someone made a suggestion about once you unlock empowered, it unlocks all the islands, and I think that was considered at one point. Something. What happened with that? Probably nothing. Whitecap armor shred at 10 stacks. I didn't know we did that. I thought that one stacked. I don't know if you were here when I said this, but I haven't read the development update yet. Let's resistance. Resistance shredding ailments. Resistance shredding ailments, including shock, will stack to 10 from 20. I don't think this says armor shred. I don't see where it says that, Lizard. Please tell me if I'm wrong. Sorry, I'm gonna skip that question because I think it might be not right. But I'm not sure. Multi-part question. Have y'all considered adding more generic defensive or offensive conversions into the skill tree? I mean, yes. Like physical to cold damage or percentage physical damage taken as cold. Have y'all considered low life mechanics to take advantage of endurance investment? Yes, we've considered all those things. We really don't want to. So okay, let me tackle these one at a time. Endurance theming is really about your character's toughness, the grit, the ability to hold on in a dire situation. That's what endurance is. Energy shield or ward, as we have it in the game, is a magical protection barrier and has nothing to do with your character's. Yeah, I'm sure there's some like thematic things gonna prove me wrong here, but it's a magical ability. It's not a physical property of your character. It's not a like I'm like this character is tough and beefy, so it's like the thematic opposites is what I'm trying to get at. So we don't have endurance functioning with ward. Almost all, I say almost all because I don't think of a contradiction. Almost all low life builds will need to utilize ward in order to survive. So there's this like thematic conflict with ward and endurance right away.
I cannot do that.
And so we pretty intentionally didn't make them functional together. Even though there is that like mechanical synergy that's like a lot of people when they first see that, where it's like, oh my god, I can sit at 10% health, and when I take damage, my endurance below my endurance threshold, it kicks in. And that's why the wording, I think it says like damage to somewhere when it's talking about endurance, it says like the damage is reduced, damage to health is reduced by instead of damage to ward or just damage. So yes, we've considered it. We intentionally don't do it. It's possible that we could add like an item that causes that synergy to work somehow. Maybe like while at low life, you have while at low life, your endurance threshold is your like minimum ward amount or something like that. Or it's your new 0 for baseline ward calculations for decay or something like that. You know, like some way to make them synergize a bit, but less direct. I'm getting an audio request. Here. There we go. Sorry about that. I appreciate knowing that, because I'm playing with this a little bit, because I do really want to have a little bit of audio, and that's why I'm like spiked the music, because I feel like it would be the least problematic. So yeah, let me know if there's more problems again, and Kane, feel free to ping me directly again if it's a problem still. Alright, next question. Oh yeah, sorry. Multi-part conversion offenses into skill trees. Yeah, we don't want every single skill to have conversions for every single tree. We want the conversions to be thematic and appropriate for that class overall. And just having like every conversion for every skill that is even thematic is like it's the whole of everything special, nothing special problem again. So we know they're popular mechanics and we'll continue to add them into skills, but we really are we don't want to get in a situation where there's just every skill can be converted to every other element. You know, like we don't want to get there. Partially from a like a design standpoint, but partially just from a like every time we convert a skill, that's another VFX that gets added to it. And then every time we have a mechanical change in the skill to how it functions, it's multiplied by the number of element changes. So if we have like 3 mechanical changes and 3 elemental conversions, like it's plus the base one, so it's actually like 16 different versions you have to have for that. It's a lot. And then just like adding one more, it doesn't add 1, it adds however many of the other category there is. So in that situation, adding 1 actually adds 4. And it makes further ones also more costly, if that makes any sense. Alright. In the June dev update, we saw the new enemy Void Penance with a really cool on-death effect. Are all the reworked enemies for 0.9 going to have something similar? Yes. They main. I think so. I think they all have it. I'm like, all's a dangerous word. I think they all have it. If not all, the vast majority. Can we go with vast majority instead of all? Let's do that. And a lot of them are more subdued. So that one was picked specifically because it's really awesome. Not all of them are that awesome. But yeah, like a little tiny enemy dying isn't gonna have as involved of an effect as like big void penance, I think so. But yeah, that's the standard. That's the new norm. Could you turn down the in-game character error speech? Yes. Sorry about that. Have you guys considered adding those exploration things as modifiers that apply to the next X maps after completing a map, like a current modifier system on Monolith? Yeah. Like a reward in a Monolith. One of the things we had talked about is having a reward node in the Monolith being something along the lines of like your next 7 maps have increased chance to find Echo Mechanic 17. Oh, that'll be a good item there. Yeah, that's a good item. That's a good item. I'll take it. We do pretty nice boots. What am I doing? Running places. Oops, you confused Mike. You did confuse Mike. Will there be added more different things? Will there be added more different things that gear, rings, weapons, etc.? Will there be added more different things that gear, rings, weapons, etc.? Like new gear slots? I would say that's pretty unlikely to have new gear slots coming out. It's not impossible, but we're quite happy with the slots that are there, and there's a lot of things that would have to change. Like there's tons of things that would have to change if we added a new gear slot. I'd say it would be more likely that we would add a new supplementary progression system that caused character changes to happen along a similar but different line that things like blessings do. So blessings, in the strictest sense of the term, blessings are items. I know it doesn't seem like it because they don't behave like items in any way, but blessings are items actually. You can't interact with them the same way you'd interact with normal items, but yes, blessings are items. That's why you get a very item-like tooltip with them. Yeah, they're just real basic items. So yeah, it's possible we could see other progression system axes that would add new item slots. And I think that's the question you're asking. Oh, afterwards it says can have on it. The same person. So, oh wait, so are you asking if like more affix slots on items? This has 4 affix slots, 3 implicits, which is very high for a number of implicits, and 1 sealed affix. This is about the max number of affix slots of different types, implicits, affixes, sealed affixes that you'd see on an item. We're not really interested in increasing that number. We think it's pretty high already. We know that a lot of things have have 6 affixes, 3 and 3. It's possible we could increase to that down the road. There are systems built in that would make that functionally possible. We don't have any intention to do it at the moment. It is so unbelievably hot in here. My goodness. Don't forget to drink water, everybody. Alright, let's keep going. Some people get turned off by the animation's feel of combat. Are there any plans to smooth things out after the multiplayer update? I mean, yeah, we'll continue after the multiplayer update as well. There's a huge swath of changes to that coming in the multiplayer update itself. So we just released a dev blog today that talks about that. The last 2 dev blogs talk about that pretty heavily. Whatever, that's a terrible idol for me. But yeah, like we are, yes, is the short answer. Yes, we're definitely looking at that. It's always getting better. There's new things getting added all the time. Every single ability and enemy in the game is getting changes to that. I play PoE and I'm looking for a new game. I'm worried about your late game being shallow. Oh, that's unfortunate. It's getting deeper as we go. we do work hard to add depth to our systems without going too far into when we add depth, we'd like to have a good complexity rate of return. What does that mean? So we like to, if we're adding, we don't like to add complexity without depth. And if we are adding complexity, we like it to have as much depth as we can when we add it. And this is, I say we like to because there's exceptions to everything. Can I use this idols right in here to start with? And this is things we've been talking about already this stream too. Just like adding in more systems to do in the monolith, I think is a big part of that. Because the monolith is sort of the mapping of our end game, and so while it's not the only thing that we want to have to be able to do at end game, it is the primary thing that a lot of the other systems will either interact with, or piggyback's the wrong word, but there's going to be interaction there for sure. And I think it's more important that we have really high quality systems in place. I think quality over quantity will do us well at launch. And there's tons of time to add more. Yeah, just keeping that quality bar up is really important to us. I'm really liking this build. Like, I know I'm very over level and just crushing everything, but I'm having fun. I like the way it plays. I really gotta get into empowered here. I enabled it, and I guess it didn't save, and I'm kicking myself. I'll play this for a couple weeks because of that. So I want to see how it does with harder content. We'll go do a proper exalted soon. Did I like weirdly filter out? No, show all. Yeah, okay. I guess I'm just not in empowered, so I'm not seeing any exalteds yet. What? Target to jump to? Yeah, I get that double lunge.
Stand down.
Did you maybe consider adding the ability to use spears with shields? Yes, we have considered that, but when a shield is equipped, you get, for example, damage penalty. Yeah, we have looked at that. I think there's room for... I think there's room for a new item base type that's a one-handed spear. And I'd really like to see that instead, because I think there's more room for like interesting things you could add with that. You could maybe add other things that go well with it thematically at the same time. Definitely no hints at all. But yeah, there's definitely intentional gaps in the gearing system as far as item base types go. Not the gearing system as a whole, but just like there's certain item base types that we've kind of intentionally left out. And a lot of people will just spot those pretty quickly. There's like fist and claw style weapons that I guess relate to D2 assassin, D3 monk, that sort of style thing. One-handed spears. There's yeah, there's a few others as well. But yeah, so there's some intentional gaps, and sometimes those are there just because when we were setting up animations for things initially, we didn't have as much manpower and needed to save some development time, so we cut them initially. Sometimes those were because there's a specific future possible class or mastery class that we really want to do that's going to need that as like an iconic weapon. Interestingly, so we have like class specific helmet, chest, and relic. Initially, before we actually even split to a 3 mastery system, we were just in a 2 mastery system, we had unique weapon types for each class. Each base class had a unique armor, and each mastery class had a unique weapon type associated with it. Was the original plan for that. And there's certain weapons that we definitely say like, okay, this is really good on this class, like marksman and bows as an example, where like basically that's all you can use it on because nothing else can use it. There's no bow abilities elsewhere, right? And like that could still change. That's not a hard and fast rule that's set in stone forever. That is a the way it is now type thing. More than anything. Oh, this just like leaves trails of death all over the arena. It's great. We're getting closer to the end. I guess I'm just kind of cruising through here. I should just finish this off and bump up what we can. What's the end game of this game? Oh, so I'm showing some of it right now. This is the Monolith of Fate, and it's a collection of different timelines that each have in them. You may have just seen on the screen a second ago the timeline Echo Web for this one that I'm in. I'm currently in this one at the top. I'm in this one up here at the last room. And each one of these, when you complete them, you get a specific bonus that goes with it. You select from a pool. You select from a pool that's chosen at the top when you finish it. Okay. Well, that's not awesome. And then we'll go through it a little more endgame stuff here. Just there are several different dungeons that each require a key. So Temporal Sanctum, Lightless Arbor, and Soulfire Bastion, that each have unique mechanics and abilities that go with them, and a unique reward at the end. And then we also have an arena. It's a special arena key, but there are. Yeah, there's special arena keys that let you jump further in, so you can save part of your run if you want. You know what? I'm actually gonna go do an arena run. Let's see what happens. Oh my gosh. So we have one nearby. This character is actually the same character that I used because I played Javelin lightning throwing javelin on stream previously. Let's go that way. And it's the same character that I've just modified for this. Come on. Here we go. Is that right? That's right. Yes. And yeah, so you find keys anywhere, primarily usually in the monolith itself, and then you gain access to the dungeons and the arena, and those are your sort of three mechanics, endgame systems that you bounce between right now. We are planning on adding more as time goes on, but those are the primary three right now. Oh, the totems. We previewed the new totems last week, and in the dev blog that just went out like an hour ago. The new totems look so nice. So nice. I just want to get to the arena. Come on. Ten rings like in real life. So the rings hold a significant amount of magical power, and when they get too close to each other, they can interfere with each other, and your fingers fall off basically. So you can only generally fit safely one ring on each hand, or else you're just risking losing some digits.
Stand down or die.
Also, it is a gearing nightmare to have that many ring slots. These idols I'm finding are so useless for me, it's comical. I should just go to my stash and see if I've got some. Have you thought of a keyring for dungeon unlocks? Yeah. Definitely have. Just second. But having still like we still want you to find keys, not having like just unlock the whole tier forever. But having a way to store those keys more efficiently than this is something we're interested in. I should just go do it. Let's go do an endless one and see what happens. See if we can get any traction. Because we're level 90 here. So we're not. Well, let's not start with our hands off the keyboard. That sounds great. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah, I see what you guys did there. You tried to kill me. That was unfortunate. Apparently, I need to learn how to play, because I'm a super noob. Okay, less bad now. Okay, we're gonna do better than wave. That's nice. All right, to second Elcar 111. Do you plan to make Minion flat damage also adaptive because it seems to suffer from the same scaling problems? We don't. Do we have much flat added Minion damage? I mean, so. It can be done the same way. So you can have health gain when stunned. There's at least something that does something. Yeah. Let's see if there's some idols in here. Just real quick. Vitality. 1 vitality. 2 vitality, 3 vitality. Don't care. Super duper don't care about any of these idols. Just little tiny ones that kinda suck for me. Yeah, dot damage. That's good, we can use that. Health, what can we choose with health? Health. Health? Health? Dot damage? Sure. Okay, cool. Good enough. 10 part ways. Let's go! I'm answering questions, still aren't I? Yeah, so I could be wrong. I think that most minion damage is increased and more that you see show up. You don't see much in the way of flat added minion damage. Oh, I could be wrong about this. I'm trying to think. Likely we would have kept it typed, because it's generally not a weapon. And the big change to damage types to become adaptive is for flat added on weapon bases. So we're not removing a stat from the game or anything like that. We're not actually even adding a stat to the game. We're just changing which stats show up on most weapon bases. And that's in the flat added damage implicits for weapons. For the most part, I don't think that minions have that. That last wave was funny. Alright. I could be wrong with that. Please let me know if I'm wrong, though. Will there be a reliable way to get dungeon keys in the future, such as Monolith rewards, or will you keep them all as random drops? Maybe, I don't know. They're pretty abundant right now. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but it feels like when I play on stream, I feel like in the 2 hours that I play, I get like, and maybe it's an extreme case, I don't know. But I feel like I'm getting, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes I get way more than that in 2 hours. I'll keep an eye on it though. So if you got feedback on that, head on to the feedback places and leave feedback, and we'll consider that feedback. Hello, can you guys already tell us more about how multiplayer balance will work? For example, how will you balance the dungeon or the damage and health of enemies if the player in the party with 2 or 3 people, so it doesn't end up being too easy? Absolutely, great question. There's the basic stuff we're doing is when more people are in the party, the health of the enemies goes up. Simple. You got more damage, it's easier to kill stuff, go ahead. We don't increase the damage output of the enemies because the way RPGs work just in general is you're usually balancing around how much damage you can take in a single hit, and trying to have health recovery options so that you can take a hit, not die, and recover back up to the point where you can take a hit and not die. This is talking about more endgame stuff generally. And I know not all builds are like this either, but that's normally what your most builds are trying to do, I think. And so in order to sort of help with that, we're quite often looking at just increasing health of enemies rather than damage output, because or you'd be ending up with situations where like people have a build where it's like, all right, this build can play solo, but this build can't play multiplayer because the damage that it takes just kills it. And we know that there are like defensive buffs you can get from playing a multiplayer and everything to help with that, but we don't want to make those mandatory. we are looking at mechanical. Like, there's more things we are still looking at and could potentially do to increase difficulty, possibly through mechanical changes. An example I like to give with answering this question is relating it to Diablo 2. Surprise! I like to do that a lot. And Diablo himself in Diablo 2 has an ability, like a bone cage ability, which is, I think, a fantastic multiplayer ability and a really awful single player ability. Because it's so hard to avoid it in single player, and you can get stuck in it and you're just hoovered. You just can't do anything. You can't, like, get yourself out of it. So we're still looking at getting mechanical changes if we can, where you are able to like things that you can do in multiplayer that you can't do in single player, that make it functionally more challenging and more engaging and more interesting, but doesn't actually make it so your character suddenly stops working. These guys are quite strong. Question here. Don't forget to ping me with questions. Any idea how you're implementing a trade system yet? Yes, but not that we're willing to share. I understand the bizarre concept of player shops. Have been scrapped. Yes, great game by the way. Well done, team. Thank you very much. Yep. No information yet. Sorry. Interacting in a way that, for example, like unlocking mono blessing, helping everyone else. Is this a follow-up from another question? Let's see. Don't see this person earlier. Interacting in a way that, for example, like unlocking mono blessing, helping every else. I think what this is asking is about unlocking the monolith. Like when you finish a monolith and you get blessings as an option to pick from, it lets you, like, being able to reselect those down the road without having to go do the monolith again, I think is what this is asking. That's not currently the plan, but you know, if you feel strongly that that's something we should do and you want to, feel free to head on over to feedback forums and leave feedback for us that we will look at. And I mean, who knows, right?
Stand down.
That was a weak set of damage. Like, what? Where's my reward? Huh? I'm shocked. I thought I was just gonna crumble when I got into this arena. I thought I was just gonna get my butt handed to me, but surprisingly, I'm not. That's cool. I'm just gonna pop out because I had some fun in here, but I don't want to keep doing this forever.
What do you want? I see.
A new dialogue system coming soon. Oh yeah, that's a nice change. I see the old one and I'm like, yeah. Which I remember saying the exact same thing when we went to this one as a new system. I need more exalteds to build one of these three things up with. Do we have any gloves I could do next? Okay, let's look for exalted gloves. Can we just glove? There's some there's some exalted gloves that I could use. Okay, we got a bunch. Stats, not Salted. Make those into something good. Okay, we're just gonna go. That's enough. We're gonna do gloves. All right, next question. Is there a known bug with Path of Judgment increased healing effectiveness doesn't work on trail DPS in the tooltip of it? No, there's not. There's not an unknown bug either, really. Because... So what I think you're asking here, and I could be wrong, but this alt tooltip here, none of these alt tooltips that show secondary triggered abilities for skills take into account everything on the tree. Most of the time they don't take into account a lot of different things. They're really there more so to show you details of what the skill is, and this one's really bad because I don't even think it uses that mana cost. What the skill is, what tags it has, things like that. It's more about getting details like that across to you instead of that damage per second number in these tooltips is often horribly wrong. So I wouldn't pay much attention to that because it also the tags don't update. So many things don't update with these. I'm surprised this one's even getting the damage per second as much as it is. But most of the time these are just like so little information can actually be used for that. So not a bug, just not something that we've implemented. Interacting in a way. Oh, nets. Yeah, there you go. It's a great example of a weapon that we've intentionally missed out on. For multiplayer, do you think there's a design zone? So I'm just going to start. I'll read this in a second. Come across. Come back. No. Come. What? I've got one in my inventory. I'm kind of an idiot sometimes. That's okay. For multiplayer, do you think there's a design space for skills that are mainly, or at least somewhat focused on multiplayer? Absolutely. For example, Sentinel having taunt skillful aggro to themselves rather than party members. Obviously not a full tank DPS healer setup featured in a lot of MMOs, but perhaps a light version of that. I think there's a really good example of skills that we've intentionally, well actually the only skill that doesn't have a skill tree in the entire game on Paladin, funny enough. That's done very intentionally not to have a skill tree yet because it would have such a huge impact on multiplayer that we wanted to wait till we had multiplayer to build the skill tree for it. So yes, there's definitely are skills that have significantly heavier focus or have different impact and playstyle in multiplayer than single player. And we have been building them with that in mind right from the get-go. Next question, any news on Warlock, Falconer, and Runemaster? No news as of yet, I apologize. Still stuff we're developing, not coming in 0.9. Yeah. I don't know what else I can say. There's none of those three are playable in internal builds either, so they're not. It's not like we're holding on to them or testing them or anything like that. They're completely unimplemented for all versions of the game, internal and external. I don't know if that's something I said before. then next question. I'm really wondering how the arrows are gonna feel in combat. The arrows are gonna feel in combat. Okay. Poison attacks and cold freeze attacks, as well as death animations to those. Could you give some examples? I think arrows might be a typo.
How is this possible? Only I should be able
Could be
to
wrong.
command tiny unless
Good. They're gonna feel good. I don't know how else to describe it. I've been playing almost exclusively Cinder Strike bow build on our multiplayer tests for the last few months. I'm having a ton of fun with it. Feels great. It feels exactly the same as single player. Poison attacks, cold freeze attacks, as well as death animations for those. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a little unclear what the question is. There's a bunch of examples on like death animations and death visuals that I've shared last couple weeks for spoilers. There's Aaron's channel, Action RPG YouTube channel, has a lot of recaps of previous dev streams where you can see examples of some of those clips and things like it. That usually we show fire because it's the flashiest. But I think cold's been used in one of them. I'm sure there was also some examples in the devlog that just went up today, and I'm sure there'll be more examples that'll come as we get closer to patches. Like we get the actual patch preview thread. I know there's a lot in this devlog, but it's not actually a patch preview thread yet. So lots more. It's funny, I'm just like flicking back and forth, and the door's just opening for the next one, open for the next one. I'll take it. Yeah, look at that track record. That's what I'm talking about. 20%? No problem. No problem. Are you aware that some builds are environmentally challenged by objects blocking your skills? For example, Kate's beacon and echoes kind of pretty annoying on my Hammerden. Yeah, so we have. I don't know if this is in the live version right now. I don't think it is. I could be wrong. I don't know. We have recently created a system to have projectiles can have two different colliders. One for the purposes of inanimate collision detection, and one for the purposes of enemy hit detection. So previously we were under this push and pull between, like, you throw a hammer out, and the collider for that hammer that says, like, if this ball, like, it's not actually like a hammer shaped object that's flying through the air, it's actually just a ball. And it's like, if this ball intersects with this enemy's ball, it's actually a capsule. So it's not like there's a collider for, like, the shoulder and the arm and the leg and the head and the torso. It's just one capsule for the whole object. And if they collide, then do stuff. And so we have now the hammer has two colliders. One that's much bigger, and one that is much smaller. And so the smaller one is for inanimate object collision detection, like walls, where usually, because the object is so big, it doesn't matter if the detection for that is significantly smaller than it would be normally, because it's still going to hit that really big object. But you still need to have the collider for detecting enemies be relatively large, because the difference in size between the projectile and the enemy isn't actually that big.
Is impossible.
Compared to the distinction between the enemy and that other thing, the wall, the hammer in the wall. Bye, Julra. Oh, got an idol. Got a sweet idol. Take it. Oh, that's a cool ring. Hey, let's craft on that ring. Let's craft. Oh gosh. Our sub charity logo is sized a little differently. So we're just gonna resize that real quick. It's a little better. And yeah, let's craft it. So we're gonna try and pull attunement off this. I'm gonna try and seal it. I'm just gonna reroll it, see what happens. Void damage. Yeah. Throwing attack speed. I mean, this does technically. We don't throw. Yeah. It's not terrible. Let's try and reroll dodge. Necro resistance, that's fine. Let's try and seal that. Okay, sweet. And then let's try and glyph of hope. Ah! Will it let me do this after the fact? No, I should have done that first. That's too bad. Oh well. Still a decent weapon, or decent ring. Couple unlucky rolls took us down. Say the beat. This is actually a really nice ring. This one's better though. It's definitely better. Alright, what are we doing here? We're doing gloves. We are gonna make some sweet atrophy gloves. But which ones shall we use? We don't really want intelligence or attunement. Let's just try and build these up. Let's discover some ailments, see what we get. Minion health, no thank you. Minion damage, no thank you. Minion health, no thank you. Melee attack speed. Well, we got kinda wrecked there. Let's see if we can reroll this into something good. Intelligence, ugh, come on, what is going on? Cast speed? Why do you hate me so? That's pretty good. Frailty is pretty sweet. Let's just crank that up. Let's get strength one more. Oh, there's the T21 set of gloves right there, just by accident. That's pretty sweet. Cast speed sucks, so let's go anything but cast speed. Yeah? Yeah? What do you think? We get cast speed? In the future, will you guys release League seasons that will later merge into standard type of thing, or what's your version there? Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. You got it. That's the plan for the most part. We do the details on exactly how that's gonna go is still a little up in the air, still up for discussion, all that sort of stuff. But for the most part, that's basically what it's gonna be. What are healthy numbers for a game like this? For example, Diablo 3 has billions and trillions. I do not understand what those numbers mean. Yeah, humans don't know what those numbers mean. Please tell me Last Epoch is not becoming this far future too. I think the goal is to keep the numbers low enough that like most people can comprehend what they mean. and also so you can read them quickly. So like you can just at a glance be like, oh, that's this number. When you start getting too many commas and too many zeros, the numbers start to become kind of like, what is that? What is that? And adding M's and B's and T's onto there is not awesome. So yeah, that is the goal. I mean, we intentionally keep a lot of stats. We intentionally keep low, like even just like these numbers here, vitality, strength, like those numbers are not super duper crazy high. Like we try and keep these reasonable numbers. Like mana regeneration up above 20 is unbelievably high, you know. So like we try and keep as many numbers as we can in a reasonable spot as possible. Some people are really good at cranking those damage numbers up to weirdly high things, and you know, good on you for finding those loopholes. It's blocking. There's a huge. Oh, I know what it is. It's the help window is blocking there. Huh. Interesting. But you can't click through. Yeah. Okay. Frailty, not ideal, but you know, not terrible. So we'll take it. Alrighty then. Let's go back and do some more Monolith stuff because that was having fun with that. Get the difficulty up though. Did Judd answer the same question? Well, yeah, like right after that. Cool. Cool. Reading the dev updates, seeing support for hit-based hammer throw got me excited. Sweet. Any funny bug stories that you can share? I mean, there's always funny ones when it comes to skills. All right, Mike, time to get the whole ass out. I don't know. It's probably still happening. It's when you cast, for I don't have a good example I can cast on this ability, I don't think, but fireball is a really good example of this ability. When you have the triple shot fireball where it fires 3 fireballs or 5 fireballs and you aim really close to your feet but still technically forward, the first one can shoot backwards and all the other ones will shoot forwards, because the other ones are taking your character's forward position to define what direction to shoot in, but the first one is actually drawing a line from your character to where you clicked, and it's taking the start point. Actually, Holy Aura is showing this really nicely, where you can see the size of the character is bigger than a point, so it would take to find the direction that you're trying to click in to actually send this in. It's taking like the outer ring of forward. So there's a ring here, and forward is let's draw on the screen. So there's a ring around your character that is the like, this is where I'm standing ring. It's the like, if part of this is touching an area of effect, it like, that's why you get hit sometimes. And it's not that big. It's more like this. But then if you click like right here, it's still, the distance from the center point to there is still causing this to be forward. But the ability itself is checking from this green point here. Checks from the outside of the ring and therefore draws a line backwards and fires it backwards. So that was a funny bug that we had. I enjoyed that one anyways. Also, I caught up on chat. Haha. There's a couple things there's a couple things back. Something's going on. I don't think I heard this. Lone Star McFluffin, I apologize. An hour ago I missed this. My heart breaks. Another 16-month resub. Thank you very much. Glad to have you with us, and I apologize for missing it. Love having you here. Glad you're sticking around. Having fun, I hope. 16 months is crazy that we've been doing this that long. Nutty. I love it.
Stand down or die.
What am I getting into here? Wait, there was some questions earlier that like I couldn't. Lizard, you had a question about armor shred stacks, only stacking to 10, and I said I didn't think that was the case. Did you find evidence either way by any chance? And if you did, could you let me know what you found? Have a little twitchy twitch party there. Any plans for an option to have items on the ground appear larger? I sometimes need to click a couple times to grab a rune. So it's something that we've talked about, and I think like general UI scaling is a really important thing that we need to start incorporating. But having individual like a size option in the filter for like show affix shards at twice the size or whatever, something like that, that's not something we're really interested in, partially because the affix shards being, or the item ground tooltip labels being a singular size is really important for having them visually blend in with the background enough that if you're not focusing on them and you're focusing on the combat, you can see past them even when there's a lot on the screen. And having them be in various sizes causes problems with that. So that's why we try and keep them consistent when possible. Did I say 6? I thought I said 16. Monster My Wolfen has been here for 16 months. Haha! Probably even longer than that, really. Before we started doing subs. I'm just terrible at this. Yeah, I think having just UI scaling in general, especially for people who play, there's a few people I know that I've talked to that play like on their couch with the controller, and like it's a big TV and the resolution's really high and this is a really nice TV, and they're just like, what does that say? So just having some UI scaling options I think would be good in general. And possibly having just something as simple as like all item ground label tooltips show up. Not tooltips, item ground labels are larger. Like scaling all of them 5%, 10% would be I think possible.
Stand down or die.
Size would be great for disabilities too. Yeah, there's accessibility options or concerns there as well. Getting it so more people who have issues with their eyesight and seeing small text and reading that is definitely an upside to having those as well. There's a lot of those that we're sort of like, gotta get this in. There's an accessibility option, we gotta get that in. There's a lot of things that fit in that like. The number of features we have listed out that we're like, someday we're gonna add this and it's gonna be amazing. It's just gigantic. The wish list that you think like, oh, there's not that many things, right? And it just grows and grows and grows, which is wonderful. I mean, there's I don't think we'll ever run out of stuff that we're really interested and excited about adding, which is awesome. And it might have something to do with being able to get excited about adding silly little things like UI scaling.
Stand down or die.
But it's still exciting, so. I also realized I didn't tag anyone with my previous question. Well, here's your chance. Are fully kitted foes similar to a player with a regular build on the table as encounters bosses? Yes. In fact, we actually started doing this to some degree, like a little early intro version of this, in the limited arena boss champions, in limited arena run champions. You know what I also haven't done? There's no leaks. I haven't brought any leaks to the party yet. My goodness. So we'll apologize with the leak here in a second. We're just gonna finish answering this question. So the Yeah, basically you can limited arena runs, Divine Era. Yeah, up here in Champions Gate where we were before doing the arena. There's options for there's 4 tiers of limited arena runs that are, I think, 30 waves, 50 waves, somewhere in that range. And at the end of it, the final wave is a boss fight. And it's a static boss fight that has certain abilities. There's 3 different ones. There's a rogue, a primalist, and a sentinel, different versions of them. And they have different cool little mechanics. Fun fact, I'm really, I think this was our lead VFX person and one of the encounter designers that came up with this. I think this is who came up with it. If it's not, I'm sorry, whoever came up with it. It's a great idea. I love it. The rogue has a decoy ability, which, like, decoy taunts things, but how can you taunt a player? And if you kill the decoy before it explodes itself, it drops a bunch of crafting materials. So it incentivizes you to attack the decoy, so it taunts the player sometimes, which I just love that interaction. It's one of my favorite boss mechanic interactions in the game right now. Possibly in any game. That one's so great. I love it. Anyways, yes, so we've joked about having like characters that we as designers have created for ourselves as bosses in your limited arena runs. Or we joked about, I say joked, we've actually considered doing this, of having like people who win, maybe like whoever won last season's arena champion becomes the like in-game arena champion that you have to beat at the end of some event or something like that, like for next season. There's all sorts of things we talk about with this, and I think there's a lot of opportunity there for bringing in characters. Obviously, we'd have to curate that experience a little bit, so if there was a build that did win the arena that was kind of degenerate in some way, maybe we go second place, maybe we modify that build, maybe we change it for NPC. Like, there's all sorts of stuff we could do there, but it's all very hypothetical at this point. Anyways, I have here an option for you. With Lemon fighting Lizard every cycle, maybe we'd be like, yeah, limited on how often you could win it or something. I don't know. Maybe there's a bunch of them. That'd be fun. Anyways, here's a little teaser for you of new VFX and sound, especially. So I'll shut up for this. For static, there's like this just gaining charges. It gets fully charged, and it's being spark being used as well. I think it's all in this clip. I'll just really quickly mute the game for a quick sec. And that's it. That's a lot, probably. That's roughly where we were. Sure. Yeah. So that's new static, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah. Oh, we're so close. Can we can get the boss down before the end of this? I think. It's my goal. It's my goal. New question. New first time person question. Don't forget to ping me. With the questions, does Last Epoch have multiplayer or a stash shared by tunes on the same SSF account in SSF yet? So currently, there is no online multiplayer functionality for any, like, just if you buy it on Steam, go play, you will not have multiplayer. We are in the process of expanding our community tester program for multiplayer purposes. There's an update for that just went out earlier today, a few hours ago. If you want to apply for that, you still can. So currently, I guess every character is SSF effectively because it's all offline, or it's SF, not SSF. Anyways, we do also have solo we have SSF and SF, I guess, right now, technically. And SSF has individual stashes per character, and SF has a shared stash. There's also hardcore mode versions of each of those. Ooh, an idol. Should put those idols that I got, because I did get a couple that were good. Blizzard, I have a feeling you're not watching anymore, but I want to know if that, or anyone, can anyone find out if the armor shred was included in the resistance shred reduction to cap 10?
Stand down or die.
I don't think it is, because I think resistances and armor are different things. They're usually treated differently as the shreds as well. Thanks,
Stand
weapon.
down or die.
I'm actually really surprised you guys didn't have a bunch of questions for the update that were going to stump me. It isn't resistance shred? Yeah, okay. Cool. Sorry. Well, Lizard, if you're still here, that is my response to the very first question of the stream, I think. It's not. Oh, big question there. Look at loving the look of that. 1 second. We're gonna get into the next echo, and I'll read it then. So, yeah, we're ready to go. Go for that boss. Let's go. My mic is a little quiet relative to the game. Thank you for letting me know. I'm trying to find that balance. Turn down in OBS as well. There's a question. Because bows are currently restricted to rogues and bow quiver nodes exist in monoliths, is it easier to farm for bow rogue equipment when playing another character than it is to farm class-specific gear from other classes? What are your thoughts on this? Do you think it's good to have ways to farm useless gear for your current class? Will there be more ways to target farm off-class gear in the future? Okay, so I think there's a few things here. One, the like there's lots of weapons that are useless, lots of weapon types and nodes that'll show up in the monolith that are useless for the character you're currently playing. I don't think that's unique to bows, really. I think the thing, and the way you said it is true, the only thing that's unique about it really is that unless you're playing a bow rogue, all of those nodes are useless, so the rate is a little bit higher, you're right. I don't think it's problematic, and I think it's more indicative of a potential plan to have that bows not be completely exclusive on rogues, and it's hard to say if or when that'll ever happen, but I mean, I'm gonna keep pushing for bow abilities on other characters for sure, like or at least some way to have like wolf and bow ability combos, like that archetype's missing, that hunter archetype is missing still. I think we'll see that archetype happen in one way or another, and one of the ways that could happen is adding bow abilities to Primalist. That's one way that can happen. There's other ways too. As far as being able to target farm gear for other classes, I think it's really important that can happen, whereby you are finding gear for other classes. We do try to give you more opportunities to find gear for yourself, but I think it's important that you do find gear for other classes at least sometimes. And that might seem weird to say, but apart from SSF characters, it really does incentivize, like you find a piece of gear that's like unbelievably great for another class, another build you're not playing, and it says, hey, maybe make another build, maybe try another character, try something new, like play around with this new item you found, build around the and I think that's a really cool thing to happen, where you like you find some amazing item and you're like, oh, I can make this build. I'm gonna go try that, and you get something new going, and I think that's really fun. That's something that excites me in games like this. And I know it's not for everyone, but I don't think that the rate that we're pushing off-class gear is to a point where it's going to become like mandatory to make these other builds for like gear time investment ratio finding stuff. So it's what ends up happening for the most part is it's this like, hey, you found something awesome, you could do something really cool with it. Do you wanna? No? Okay, fine. Or, hey, you found something really cool that you could do with this. Do you wanna? Yeah, awesome. Go have fun. And those are sort of the two like extreme cases, I guess. And then if you really wanted to focus on finding gear for a specific other class, you can do that easier for a marksman, I think. But at the same time, because there's overlap in, say, a primalist and a sentinel, you can be finding gear for your current character and that other character at the same time as well. So I think the overlap with your own stuff balances it out enough that it's worthwhile.
Gods.
Oh no! The Lord! Oakley dokley. Is there a way to delete bot stash tabs? No. I have about 8 tabs from buying them with in-game gold, so we just start over with no tabs. I mean, okay, yes, you can. You can delete the entire stash, like your entire stash. You can just delete the whole thing, and that will reset back to default. My mic's still quiet relative to in-game. Yeah, I'll turn it down some more then. Just gonna turn my mic up a little bit. I just nudged 3 different things that hopefully will bring it to the point that's good. Are you going to improve enemy VFX and sound of attacks? Yes. How long till multiplayer comes out? I'm super excited to play with friends. We don't have a set time. It's the classic when it's ready answer. As soon as we do have more information about when it is ready, they'll be displayed in our devlog section of our forum, so keep an eye there. We just released an update today. We are in the process of expanding our community testing program for multiplayer testing, which is the big thing we're doing right now in there. There's still certain, oh, that's a nice one. There's still certain elements of multiplayer that just don't work, so we can't release it yet. But full multiplayer release will be our next major patch, 0.9. Are you happy with the current state of gold and its sinks? Any hint about multiplayer related use? I mean, so am I happy? Yes. Do I think it could be better? Absolutely. I think there's probably always room for improvement, but I think we need more syncs. I think we need more interesting syncs. I really am happy with the Vaults of Uncertain Fate and what that did for gold syncs. I think that's fantastic. I'd really love to see some sort of like baseline crafting options as a gold sync. Maybe something like infinite use, in town, simple shattering stone or something like that. Like a shattering stone that costs 100 gold to use each time, but it only ever pulls at most 1 shard or 2 shards or something like that. I don't know. That's a nice relic right there. It's a nice relic. So, something like that. I'd like to see a little bit more gold sinks go in the game and varied uses for them. I think I'd like to see gold sinks that work with other endgame mechanics that aren't in the game yet, but will be. And I'm sorry, I can't answer the multiplayer side of that question. Another first-time chat question. Don't forget to put at Last Epoch Game in the question so I see it easier, but I saw this one, so it's okay. Is there any plans to add something like hideout and PoE, like a player base or house? At the moment, we don't have any plans for that. Part of the reason for this is we'd like to encourage the game to feel alive. One of the ways that can be done is by having players congregate in towns. And as soon as you add in like a player housing system where people can like go and just not be in town, it does take away from the number of people that you see in town. The world starts to kind of empty of its inhabitants and all that sort of stuff. So I'd really like to, if we had a good reason for it, other than just like, okay, it's something neat that I can decorate, something cool like that, which is valuable. I don't want to take away from that as like a useful thing to have. But if we had something else to go on top of that, I think it would be much more likely to be move up the priority list on tasks. It's also just, it's a lot of work, and we can put that time and money and energy and effort into like developing more endgame systems, developing more items and skills and enemies and all other sorts of cool stuff, core stuff that's part of the actual gameplay experience itself. So I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that down the road, as like I don't know, a couple years from now, or like might be something we add in. I don't know. I'd hope that we'd have some sort of mechanical thing to go with it as well. It's boss fight time. I know I'm over time, but we're finishing strong. It's gonna happen, and one way or another, I do have one more tease for you, and I love it. I'm sorry I'm waiting so long for it, but I forgot about it until I just looked over at my screen and saw it.
My magic has no equal. Perish. Why you run? It is hopeless. Burn, wretches. The void consumes all.
Keep.
Burn, wretches.
Yeah.
My magic has no equal. Perish.
Can I just like stand in one of the trails? Probably just stand in one of the trails. I'm totally fine, aren't I? Yeah. What am I doing? Running around like an idiot.
This nightmare.
Okay. Blessings. Here we go. Helmet shard drop rate. Suffix shard drop rate. Skill shard drop rate. Yeah, skill shards. Let's do it. Bleed, shred, melee, gas bars. Yeah, it's a cool set. Don't really need it. That's alright. Either way, victory is ours. A couple questions right at the end. Can you talk a bit more about town systems? I don't really have anything to say. They're right, like they're towns. Is the interview with Israel on January stands where it suggests that gold won't be the main currency to trade with? It's still a stance for HG. I don't have anything I can say about it. I'm sorry. We're still not ready to talk in detail about trade. Yeah, I'd love to give you more info when we've got something. Like, I think we'll probably have like a dev blog that'll just lay everything out with trade. I know it's like a big topic of question for everyone. Everyone's really interested to see what happens. I really want to get more. Like I said earlier in the stream, you may have missed it, but I said it really quickly. We just had this week our very first item that went through the servers and came to a person. Like it left someone and came back to them for the very first time. It was back to themselves, so they just went out and came back to themselves. But still, like that's like the essence of what needs to happen to make trade work. And like we've just had our very first time of that happening. So it's still so early that we don't have any we don't have any like testing done on it. There's no feedback, even internal feedback on it. Like, we really need to get more of that together before we can talk about it in depth. So I'm sorry, but we don't have any info for that yet. And last thing, because this is so cool. Here's a pretty picture. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Love this one. And this will take us right out of the end. So next week, I'll be streaming earlier than usual. I'll put it in the calendar when we've got an exact time. But if you're used to seeing at this time, it will be likely an hour earlier, I think. But we'll see about details when we get closer to then. Yeah, that'll about do it for today. Where are we? Okay. I hope you had fun. I know I did. If I missed any of your questions, I apologize. Please head on over to our Discord or forums or Reddit or other places where helpful people hang out to answer them for you. I hope to see you next week. And hope you're having fun. That's about it.